This is Fanboy Vs Transformers with Chris, Rob Clay, Brickonator, and Matt.
All right, this is Fanboy Vs Transformers, episode 6, I think. Wow, we've got 6 episodes out, and we've only talked about, 4 comic books the whole time. So we're here with Transformers number 40, part 3 of Combiner Wars, and, of course, I'm joined by Rob Clay, Matt, or Melllvarr, and Brickonator, a.k.a. Mark. How you
How's
doing,
it going, guys?
Not bad.
All good?
Although, Matt, from the way you were talking before we started recording, it could be a little better for you as far as the comic goes.
Yeah. It'd be better if I had a different comic to read, apparently.
Maybe it'll be better next week, because I think
so.
I think Windblade is coming out next week, relative to when we're actually sitting
I
down
can usually
recording.
look forward to that.
Yeah. Alright, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So, somewhere in space, a small ship makes for Cybertron, and on board are Hotspot, Blade, Streetwise, and Lost Light Medical Officer First Aid, who's supervising the 5th passenger, Mirage, and he's been having some problems. Apparently a chemical reaction in his brain has put him offline and is causing him to experience visions, bits and pieces of which leak out as sleep talk. So inside Mirage's mind, Cybertron is burning, then Earth, and then somewhere else. But he's not alone. Ironhide's with him, seemingly sharing in Mirage's dream, but unable to understand the meaning Mirage is finding in it. So Ironhide wakes up. Optimus has been staying with him since they all returned from Caminus, and it turns out Ironhide was yelling in his sleep. But he brushes the whole thing off as a bad dream. After all, it's not like Mirage is anywhere near Cybertron or anything. Later, Windblade and Wheeljack come to find Optimus. Assuming he's going to use the sway he now holds to work around Starscream, they're surprised when he chooses the opposite. Starscream's giving needed help to Caminus, so he's going to support that. Meanwhile, Circuit is broadcasting a report talking about rumored first contact and how a rogue combiner may have appeared. But it's all preamble, because the real story is a public address that's about to begin. So, Starscream stands with representatives from Caminus and reveals contact with the colony and introduces Superion, who, under Starscream's direction, of course, saved that world from an attack by Decepticon criminals. One of the Camion visitors asks what the Matrix Bearer has to say, but Starscream brushes it aside and volunteers Optimus and Windblade to return to Caminus to help with relief efforts. And, hey, take Circuit with you when you go. So when they arrive, the Mistress of Flame greets them. But she's kind of confused and troubled, not only by Optimus not being in charge of Cybertron's population, but actually acknowledging Starscream's current higher status over him. Circuit asks a few questions, leading it to appear the Mistress of Flame expects that the population of Caminus is going to be reintegrated to Cybertron, which Optimus knows can't just easily happen. So Optimus excuses himself to go help the rescue and cleanup work, which the Mistress of Flame also thinks is rather beneath him. Meanwhile, in other faraway places, Prowl shows off the trophy he took from Blackrock's collection. Jetfire examines the Space Bridge terminal, but of course without a receiver somewhere, it's not much use. Now, Jetfire figures they can duplicate it and have one on Cybertron, but Prowl may have some other idea of how to use it. A sudden call interrupts their conversation, though. And Prowl doesn't like any of what he's being told, as Jetfire and the Constructicons look on, only hearing half of the conversation going on. Superion asks Optimus if he doesn't trust Starscream, perhaps a little too loudly, but Superion follows the example Optimus laid out a little while back and vows to kill Starscream if he was involved in the attack on Caminus in the first place. Optimus ends up asking whether Silverbolt is actually still inside, but it's kind of complicated. Optimus gets a call himself, though, and has to leave the matter be for the time being. So Prowl's called Optimus, and he's upset, and questions the wisdom of Optimus letting Starscream, get a hold of a space bridge and call up the neighbors. Optimus simply says that he has things under control, and hangs up on Prowl. So Prowl notes to the Constructicons that Optimus withheld a few important things from him, and after he fumes for a bit, he places another call to one of his agents on Cybertron. While this has been going on, Circuit's been reporting on Caminus, and observes the arrival of Ironhide and some of the ex-Decepticons Windblade made friends with a while back, who have come to join the relief efforts. the Decepticons feel a little cold about things, as society will tend to make them do, but they're surprised by the genuinely warm welcome the Camions offer them. As Circuit reports on the Decepticons saving lives on Caminus, Ironhide looks fairly displeased about the PR they're getting. Starscream has Swindle in a secret prison, so he won't be able to reveal Starscream's role behind, everything. And as they watch on the monitor elsewhere, Scoop disapproves in general, and Rat Trap tries to just get Starscream on his way to another meeting with the Camion delegation. So once he and Scoop are gone, Rat Trap sneaks off. Optimus and Starscream meet the Camions, and while Optimus has decided not to use the Camion's perception of him to challenge Starscream's authority, he is going to use it to make sure Starscream has to follow the right path. And so Optimus lays out how there's a need for transparency, and for all to have a voice. Starscream grits his teeth as Optimus announces that a council must be formed, so all the colonies will have an equal say, rather than being absorbed into Cybertronian rule. And at the end, he attributes all these ideas to Starscream, who now has no choice but to go along. Once everyone has left the space bridge room, Rat Trap sneaks in and reactivates it, bringing Prowl and the Constructicons through. Rat Trap figures he's fully abandoned what he used to see as the winning side, a fact he keeps to himself as he tells Prowl that he can smell a winner, and Prowl's got it all right now. Prowl figures Starscream will try to take over everything to satisfy his own ego, and Optimus won't stand against him and do what needs to be done. Rat Trap worries that without the colonies, Cybertron's eventually going to die because all they know how to do is fight and kill each other. And Prowl doesn't seem to have a problem with it. So I gotta say, that's kind of a confusing note to end the issue on.
Yeah. Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of my problem with this issue, actually.
Because what Prowl's doing doesn't make a lot of sense internally?
Absolutely none. Yeah.
Yeah, Prowl's kind of been acting like Prowl for the little bit he appears in this up to that point. Because, for one thing, he's not only irritated, but he seems almost surprised that Optimus doesn't trust him. And considering everything that's happened over the last year, I can't be the only one who finds a lot of humor in that.
Yeah.
But frankly, it was getting ridiculous how long Optimus was trusting him. Like, right before we went in the Combiner Wars, Optimus was like, I'm going to leave you in charge, Prowl, because you're totally stable and I have total faith in you. I've got to go now. Bye.
To be fair, he did tell RC to babysit him, which, that worked out great.
Right, that's like telling the 12-year-old to babysit the Psycho.
Sometimes that's all you can do, I guess, but he had to have had better choices there.
Why has Optimus not taken the opportunity to separate Prowl from the other Constructicons?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We know this is bad for all 6 of them to be in one place.
Right.
Nothing good ever comes of this. They can't be trusted, but Prime just, okay, I'm leaving for a while, so, yeah.
Well,
don't do anything bad while I'm gone.
up to this point, up to where Combiner Wars began and Prime seems to have felt as though he had no choice, he really has been evading his responsibilities to a great deal. He may have said at the end of Dark Cybertron, sure, I'm Optimus Prime again, but he's trying very hard not to have to deal with Prowl, not to have to deal with the consequences of just about anything. And now, of course, he is, inserting himself into galactic politics because he feels it is absolutely necessary. But yeah, he is really off his game here.
Well, it's not even that he's injecting himself into the situation, is that he's meddling in the politics. Like, he's not letting the politicians figure this out themselves. He's just interfering.
Yeah.
Because, there is what he sees as a greater good that needs to be followed, and he's going to make sure one way or another that's going to happen because he thinks so.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, he may be right, but it's also flying in the face of what he said an issue or two ago where he can't let his title entitle him to... He can't let his title entitle him. That's a great turn of phrase, go me. But based on that, he can't just, make himself be in charge and tell everybody what to do because he's Prime and has the Matrix. Except he's doing that anyway, just being more subtle about it.
Yes, he's just sabotaging all the everybody else's plans in case they might actually work.
No, but like it's a really good point. At the end of Dark Cybertron, when he took his name back, it felt like maybe he's going to be effective as a character again. And then we get in a little bit farther, and no, he's just still kind of sitting there.
Yeah. And now he's not doing a great job here.
No.
I think possibly, if I had to ascribe a motivation to this, I would say that his motivation is to hopefully set up some kind of, stable government for Cybertronians so he never has to do this again. But I don't think it's going to work out that way.
Well, it never works out that way. It's Transformers.
Yeah.
Even the stable governments are just hopelessly corrupt, and so you still have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go over things from roughly the top. So apparently Mirage is a visionary now, like Ironhide was made into.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a callback to, originally it was a callback to Spotlight Mirage, which was published in 2008, and probably nobody here has actually read.
Nope.
I actually went and reread it today for this podcast.
Good on you.
I wasn't sure if I'd actually read all of the early Spotlights.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of them were pretty tangential, like Spotlight Mirage was at the time. It was completely just, I'm an Autobot who dreams, I'm a Decepticon who dreams, I'm a Decepticon. It was a nice little story, kind of like, the way Spotlight Cup was kind of off to itself, more or less, but it's interesting to bring it back in, and that's something John Barber's pretty famous for, is tying in some strange stuff here and there.
Yeah, so basically, like, this one issue that's never been referenced again in any other book since it was published has now been tied into, well, this is a thing that happened, but it was a vision he had a long time ago because things in his brain.
Yeah, this is Barber definitely doing his, the continuity thing that basically got him this job.
Well, certainly the thing that made him notable.
Yeah.
The thing that makes this interesting to me is Ironhide and Mirage now having, visions. And, sort of toy spoilers, we know that two of them might be making up a combiner in the future. We don't know if that'll be in the comics, but could that be playing into it? I mean, if we start to see Sunstreaker getting visions, then I guess we know what might be happening.
I'm absolutely sure this is playing into that because, Mirage was on the Lost Light, and now he's on his way back to Cybertron to join in the fun, so...
Yeah.
So here's a question. Sunstreaker used to be on the Lost Light, but have we seen Sunstreaker since Dark Cybertron to know where he's wound up now?
He is not on the Lost Light anymore.
Okay.
Pretty sure he's on Cybertron.
Okay.
Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up entirely, all four of them that are going to have new toys are going to be on Cybertron when it comes time to end this with a bang and have Optimus and them combine.
Who's the fourth again?
Prowl.
Ah, yes.
So figure out how that's going to end up working.
Oh, well.
Well, and the thing is, too, like on that note, the first issue of the Transformers that's going to be after the specific Combiner Wars event, one of the covers is Prowl trying to strangle Optimus Prime, or stab him or something.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not really sure how this is all gonna...
Well, it's good to see that might finally come to a head.
Yes.
Matt, you kind of got lost in there.
That's all right. It wasn't important.
Sorry.
Okay, then. So let's see. So Optimus has some influence over the Camions because they see him as a religious figure, but like the Mistress of Flame seems to be buying that less and less the more she actually talks to him.
And pretty much when Starscream eventually lets it slip that the Matrix is depleted and half of the core of it is destroyed, that's pretty much going to be when they stop listening to him.
Well, the other thing is, too, I don't think the Camions know that a Metro Titan spoke to Starscream and declared him the chosen one to lead Cybertron. And
yeah.
If that comes out, I'm kind of wondering if that's going to elevate Starscream's standing in their eyes where he can actually compete with Optimus Prime's influence.
Quite possibly.
And there was actually a panel in there towards the end where they ask what he was chosen for.
Right. And it was hard to tell exactly who was supposed to be talking at that point, but it seemed like a conversation specifically between Starscream, Scoop, and Optimus. So, I mean, I think Optimus either doesn't know specifically the same thing Scoop does from having read through the old scriptures, which he let Starscream in on, or Optimus is just kind of waiting for the moment to try to turn that against Starscream's position.
So I thought that was a conversation, because we don't see the characters, I thought it was a conversation between Starscream, Scoop, and one of the Crimean delegates.
Yeah, but when you go to the next panel, Optimus is in the middle of a sentence, which makes it seem like it's continuing from one of the speech bubbles from the previous panel. Huh. Like, that was how I was interpreting it. It could be quite the opposite, it especially just, this isn't more than meets the eye. It's kind of, you don't really get character voice the same way in the dialogue.
Yeah.
To really tell for sure.
But Optimus was with Windblade at that point.
Yeah, but in the next panel, everybody was in the space bridge room. And it looked like the panel where they're talking off screen, Rat Trap is in the ventilation system waiting for the space bridge room to be emptied so he can go do Prowl's bidding. So, I mean,
okay. Yeah, it is one of the Camions who asked it, because Scoop specifically says, and you said the Camions never asked good questions.
Ah, okay, good.
Ah, okay. I'm not crazy then.
You're not crazy and I'm inobservant. Perfect match. What? No, but I mean, there's definitely elements here that can build up to level the playing field between Optimus and Starscream, and if Optimus keeps pushing Starscream the way he has been, which, I mean, to be fair, Starscream's pushing Optimus just as bad, but in a different way, this is going to come to a head, and, I mean, it might actually be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Here's hoping.
I mean, I feel like we are on the verge of getting back to robot politics, to the best aspects of this book. I don't know if we're going to get there, but it just, I'm starting to get a similar feel here. It's not quite that good, but it's getting there.
The thing is, like, if we get robot politics, I want it to be robot politics without Optimus Prime involved.
Yeah, that would probably be good.
Because, like, he's taking all the fun out of it.
It's kind of what he does.
He's just sitting there being sad all the time, and it's no fun to read.
Taking all the fun out of robot politics. Wow.
Yeah. This is our Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
He even makes politics no fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so Circuit asks Windblade how it feels to be home, and her answer is interesting. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I thought, we had talked in one of the previous issues about how, basically Windblade says that the people who were selected to leave Caminus to help Thunderclash were not, chosen for their faith so much as their skills. And, my guess was it went a little bit farther than that. And at least she and possibly Nautica and Chromia too were chosen because they wanted to be gone. And this would sure seem to reinforce that.
Because they never fit into the prevailing belief system on their planet, and whether it's a matter of they never felt like they belonged there, or the rest of the population didn't feel like they belonged there, either way, opportunity came and bye.
Yes.
I don't think Chromia so much. I think she's just like Windblade's bodyguard, because she has in the past been trying to get back to Camilla.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been thinking too.
Although, I mean, part of that just seems like she sees how dangerous Cybertron and everything related to it is, and her job is to keep Windblade safe, and there's no place safer than Caminus until, like, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I called it the wrong name. Whoops.
Hey, the comic does that too, and I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
all the little circuit clips were actually pretty cool because they gave you a chance to see little snippets and hear little interactions that you wouldn't have seen otherwise, really.
Mm-hmm. No, that was a good mechanism. I liked having that at the bottom of several pages just because it is providing an alternate viewpoint on some of the same setting that the main part of the page is talking about, but in a broader, more general sense. And especially with the Team Windblade from the first miniseries coming in to help also. It really is reinforcing, Camion society is completely different from Cybertronian society because they never had a faction divide. They never had anything like that. So to them, everybody who comes through and wants to help is just, cool, hi, nice to meet you. The Decepticons aren't victims of prejudice here, and it's highlighting the point Rat Trap makes at the end where they need the colonies because Cybertron's society is just a shambles. There's basically, on their own, no coming back from what the war turned them into. They need the other colonies to help them to redevelop actual society where everybody can function as a member.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, what else do we have? So what is Rat Trap's game, ultimately?
That's a good question.
He helped to set up Scoop for Starscream a long time ago. And now he's basically been Starscream's number 2 the whole time after that because he thinks Starscream's a winner and he wants to piggyback on that and probably try to usurp Starscream at some point down the road, but now he's kind of abandoning that and throwing him with Prowl, and what is his goal when all is said and done?
I don't know. I mean, I guess he's losing faith in Starscream staying in power, and now he's just trying to get in everybody's good graces so he can be somewhere near the top no matter who wins.
Yeah. I mean, his line about throwing it all away for the good of Cybertron is kind of curious because I'm not, maybe he doesn't understand where Prowl is right now and what Prowl is doing, but I would not characterize him as the good of Cybertron in any particular way.
No.
I wouldn't characterize him as a good guy at all right now.
Yeah. The thing is that I don't quite see why Rat Trap has decided to, completely just turn on Starscream in a non-self-interest way is what it seems like. At least it's what it seems like when he's talking to himself. Because just from how I'm looking at this, it doesn't look like Starscream is going to come out of this a loser, and it doesn't look like he's going to do anything too terribly horrible. The best I can guess is that Rat Trap knows something that we don't yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's really an unclear thing because it goes against everything Rat Trap has been since he was introduced.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think is that he's seeing the competition between Starscream and Optimus as being internally destructive, and if something else doesn't come to try to settle that down, that's going to basically wreck everything that's been set up.
Could be.
I think a lot of it also depends on just how much of a manipulative genius Rat Trap actually is. We don't really have a great sense. We think he's probably maybe middle tier, but we don't really think he's manipulating everybody and he's going to pull off this grand scheme like someone like Prowl or Starscream could do. So for such a middle management kind of guy, it's kind of awkward to figure out what he's trying to do. Maybe he's just bit off more than he can chew.
Right, Rat Trap was introduced as a manipulator, but as, secondary to Starscream's skill in that, but now he's basically just being used as a tool, essentially.
So is he Starscream's Starscream, then?
I was just thinking that. Because, thinking about the, relationship between Megatron and Starscream as shown earlier in the IDW comics, I think that's it. Starscream wanted somebody like him to both keep him alert and just to help with the scheming.
And now that's kind of backfiring on him because he's taking his own initiative, sort of.
Thing is, Starscream being Starscream, you would think he had to expect that at some point.
Well, it's a whole thing, too, because, like, for the last year's worth of issues, Scoop has been Starscream's agent in the field, and now Scoop's home, and it turns out Rat Trap is Prowl's agent back home, and it's kind of a situation of who isn't working for someone else secretly at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Starscream's focusing a lot of his energy, just keeping his eye on Optimus Prime at this point. He may not, be paying enough attention to notice what Rat Trap is up to.
That's entirely possible, too.
Yeah.
Starscream needs to have his eyes on the bigger picture, but Optimus is kind of forcing him to focus down and tighter in at this point, just to try to keep his own plotting in the works. But yeah, if that's making him take his eyes off of other things he might have caught, yeah, maybe. Optimus may not even be doing that on purpose, but it might be the most harmful thing he's doing to Starscream at this point, just being annoying. Okay, so Starscream's endgame then. What is his plan here?
That's the thing that's never really, mentioned explicitly by Starscream. Pretty much everyone assumes his plan is to start an empire with him as the emperor, but who knows? It's
Starscream, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, he wants to try to start an empire, but, to what end? Caminus has no resources. They just have people, and, non-militant people at that.
Yeah.
So it's not even a matter of he wants to start an empire for, self-defense or expansion outward like it used to be a long time ago. It's just, let's start an empire because there's other worlds out there. I mean, there's not a lot of, throughput on this.
Well, I mean, they've talked about it. Cybertron has energy now since the planet was pretty much reborn after Chaos.
Right.
But the citizens aren't stable. Chameleons have no power, but they have a stable civilization, more or less. I think he's trying to keep... He's afraid Cybertron's going to collapse in on itself again into civil war, and then he's not going to be in charge anymore. He's trying to stabilize the civilization by bringing more people in that aren't familiar with the war, that don't want to fight.
Which would mean that basically he and Optimus Prime are trying to do the same thing, just with a different overall idea of who's going to be in charge of it all when they're done.
The thing is, though, at the start of Robots in Disguise, there was an influx of non-combatants with the Nails, and
they immediately turned against all the Autobots and Decepticons.
And the Camions would end up doing the same thing. Because even Windblade's making offhand remarks about how stupid everybody was for millions of years, having a war that lasted longer than most species survived.
Yeah, but when the Nails came back, they started protesting and rioting, and Autobots and Decepticons get out. The Chameleons are friendly to everybody. They're like, "Hi, welcome, come on in."
Right, but that's on their home world, and they don't know anything about Cybertron's history because they've been cut off. When they start learning what happened and the world they've gotten themselves into, I kind of see it going the same way as the Nails.
But I think that's maybe why Starscream is pushing for the reintegration of everybody now. So it's not just the Chameleons and Cybertron. You'll get all the people that weren't involved in the war kind of shoring up the numbers to where the military factions aren't even a thing anymore.
It's possible.
To me, what needs to be happening as part of this is Starscream needs to be shown revising history, suppressing how long the war went on. And yeah, there's the militant factions that are going to go around saying, but we fought this war for millions of years. But, if the people who are learning the history for the first time start outnumbering that's how you change the history books. Mm-hmm. But that's not that's a thing that needs to be shown as going on to actually make any of this seem like it will work in the long term. Yeah, I think Starscream can shuttle in a bunch of people from the other colony worlds that have no context of the factions in the war, and use them to artificially build a stable civilization for a while, but, as long as the history exists, as long as the memory exists, and the ideas persist, it's going to spread back through and start up again in some capacity. It's not like leaving things as they are and just adding more people isn't a long-term fix to this, the way I see it.
But will Starscream's ego let him see that?
Yeah.
Probably not.
And just, talking this out, it occurs to me that the only people whose motivations are even remotely clear at the moment are Optimus Prime and Windblade. We don't have a full understanding of what anybody else in this wants out of it.
Well, and I don't even think Optimus knows exactly what the end game needs to be of this either. His whole thing is to make sure Starscream is not in total command of it.
Yeah, he doesn't know really what he wants either. He just knows what he doesn't want.
Right. And basically Starscream's in the same position. He knows he doesn't want any outcome where he is not absolutely in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they have very opposed viewpoints, even if the ultimate goal might be fairly similar. But it's a matter of... It all looks so shallow from what we've been seeing that it's hard to take this as more than, Saturday morning cartoon plots.
Yeah.
I want this because I want this, and there's no more reason than that.
I think Starscream also might be kept a little more enigmatic just because he's sort of the designated, villain, at least antagonist. So we can't know all of his plans because he's the bad guy, and if we knew everything, it would sort of spoil the surprise. Whereas we follow the good guys, we learn more of the good guys. We're supposed to root for them, that sort of a thing.
Well, there's a counterpoint to that, though, because, playing your villain where his plans are not always out in the open, and you kind of have to go through the process to see the steps. It's a certain type of villain, a Xanatos if you watch Gargoyles, but Starscream as he's being written isn't that. He's not being written with the complexity and intelligence to actually put something like that in motion, so, being shown one piece at a time just makes it seem like there's no next step worked out yet, it's just kind of going along as it goes along.
It could be our authorial intent, but perhaps not great execution, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. I still want to know what Prowl's deal is at the end, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's gotten, really very, weird about Decepticons in general since he was taken over by Bombshell. And I think the closest I can get to understanding his motivation is that, okay, if Starscream's going to be in charge of Cybertron, maybe Cybertron should just die.
Yeah.
The people are wrong, basically.
Yeah, which has kind of been Prowl's thing for quite a while. The people are idiots, and, maybe he's gone from the people are idiots and I can do better to the people are idiots, and if this is the best we can do, let's just let it all burn.
Well, the other thing is, too, his pursuit of the Enigma seemed to be on the basis of the people are idiots, so let's wire them all into my brain so I can make them better.
He's Beast Machine's Megatron?
In a sense, yeah.
Oh, God.
Except, the difference there, though, is that Megatron wanted to get rid of all the people and replace them with drones and then just be the only intelligence on the planet.
Whereas he didn't go for a hive mind.
Yeah, and Prowl's convinced he's already the only intelligence on the planet, so...
Right, so he's just going to make everybody else... But since he lost access to the Enigma, I guess he's going with Plan B, which is, if I can't fix them, let's break them.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So, hey guys, it's our favorite part of the episode. Let's talk about Livio Ramondelli.
Yay!
Man.
So, am I losing my mind, or is his stuff starting to look a little better?
I thought colors were better.
Yeah, there are places where someone reminded Livio that Cybertron does have a daytime, and that does help the fact that everything is not, either dim and dreary and blue or on fire, which are pretty much his two speeds.
Well, no, it makes sense because it's like the thing with the movies where everything is either orange or blue all the time.
Yes.
And that,
Until
yeah,
the sunset.
right.
Yes, which there's no excuse for in a book full of giant robots because that color theory is based entirely on working around human flesh tones. So, no. Come on.
Well, tell Livio Ramondelli that.
Oh, there are a lot of things I should probably not tell Livio Ramondelli if I ever meet him.
Maybe we could tell him who some of the characters he's supposed to draw are?
Well, yes, that.
So that was Hotspot on Caminus, right?
It sure looks like it. I was referring to the scene in the shuttlecraft at the beginning of the comic where it's supposed to be the Protectobots on the bridge, and one of them is actually Mainframe.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Mainframe or is it just a really...
Blades.
Yeah, is it Mainframe or just a really badly drawn Blades?
That looks like Mainframe to me.
Let me pull the page up, because I honestly didn't
looking
notice...
at it right now.
Yeah, I honestly didn't notice this the first time, so I want to take a look, and...
It could be Jinrai. It kind of looks a bit like the Godmaster. Even.
Yeah, no, that's Mainframe. He's got the forehead thing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Streetwise looks nothing like Streetwise.
Well, Hotspot doesn't look like Hotspot either. He doesn't even look like the Hotspot that shows up on Caminus later.
So that's not Hotspot then, I guess, because it looks like Hotspot.
Hotspot... Or is that Groove up there?
That's Groove up there, Hotspot's below.
Okay, so it's actually a problem with the placement of the narration boxes. Because the Hotspot box is right over Groove.
Yeah.
So,
they appear to be going left to right, top to bottom, which is fine, but that's not how the characters are spaced out on the page.
Right, and when you put the box right next to one of the models, you would tend to associate one with the other, regardless of a left to right order.
Yeah, which is why I looked at this several times before going, that's Mainframe.
And see, I didn't even really consider it that much because, it's Livio, and nobody's going to look like they're supposed to look like anyway.
Well, on that subject...
His first aid's not bad, though. He actually did an okay job illustrating first aid.
Yes. On the other hand, however, his rat trap is terrible.
Oh, God, yes.
And it just gets worse as you go through, too.
It does. There's no symmetry. Nothing actually looks round. The sides of the faces are completely not related to one another at all.
The thing
teeth.
is...
Oh.
I think my least favorite is the illustration of Megatron on page 2.
I was going to mention that, but on Rat Trap, before we move off that, just to be completely fair, it seems like nobody can draw Rat Trap well. Like,
okay,
it's not just a Livio thing. Nobody can make that work.
Yeah.
It's a hard design.
One person ever made that work, and I don't remember who that is now, but one person did it well, and then never again.
Yes.
But yeah, Megatron is really, really...
Rodimus is pretty rough there. Like, his shoulders come up to a point with his head. It's very pinheaded, kind of. That's not good.
Well, it's how he looked in Dark Cybertron in the Dead universe, so...
fair enough.
At least that's consistent.
Now, one thing I think actually did look cool were the big burning enigmatic combiners on the horizon. I thought that actually looked pretty hellish for a vision, appropriate.
Well, yeah, because if you're going to do one thing with Livio Ramondelli, it's have him do nightmares.
Yes. Things that do not require, consistent modeling, symmetry, light sources.
Physics.
Angles.
Yeah, not physics, perspective, the other P word.
Yeah, geometry.
Right. No, I mean, dreams, nightmares, weird alternate universes, all that kind of works to his strengths, such as they are. Also, with a dream sequence, there's an excuse for it to be over-filtered and semi-incomprehensible because, it's a dream.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it works. No, I mean, that whole bit looks really... both pages of the dream sequence look good, and yeah, the fiery combiners that don't really associate to anything in particular
Well, you can see Devastator and Menasor, probably.
Maybe.
And that could be Monstructor above Menasor, maybe. I don't know about the other one. I'm pushing.
Yeah, I kind of see Monstructor more as the one in the very back, like right under Devastator's shoulder.
Oh, I didn't
Pretty
even
much
see
center
him.
page.
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking more like that kind of has the Optimus head shape with the crest in the middle and the antennas. Which then would just leave the really like featureless one in the top back. Because like the one below that would probably be Superion because it's got the antenna ears.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the other one would end up being.
It could just be filler.
Yeah, probably.
One other thing in the art that kind of bugged me was I certainly enjoyed them using Fat and Tall Tankor, but in the one scene they're together, Tall Tankor's not taller than Fat Tankor, which actually got to be a bit of a tongue twister there.
He's just Slim Tankor today.
Yes. Yeah. Also, Fat Tankor like
was standing on something.
Or Tall Tankor was squatting a little bit to be in frame.
Well, that's the other thing, too, because like usually Circuit is accompanied by Longtooth, who does the video, but Circuit was kind of by himself the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is not any kind of major thing, it's just an inconsistency with previous portrayals.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are some scenes where you see Circuit on camera, so maybe he is there. Maybe it's just a bit of an omission.
Maybe. So, with the thing where Hotspot appears on Caminus, I'm kind of wondering if the script at that panel maybe called for Hot Shot, because Hot Shot exists on Caminus.
Mm-hmm. And would be with Light Bright. That would make sense.
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, why didn't anybody catch this and get it fixed?
Yeah.
Although, it's very possible that, as this goes, the editors can't really make heads or tails of this either, and, can't really tell if something's wrong or not, just to look at it.
It's Hotspot and Hotshot. It's one letter off. I mean, honestly, I could see a proofreader missing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm thinking Livio misread the script and put the wrong character in.
Mm-hmm.
That's... Yeah, a proofreader wouldn't necessarily notice that typo because they're both actual Transformer names and they're so similar to each other, but I was thinking, Livio misreads it, puts the wrong character in there, and then when it goes through the editing, at that point nobody catches it because it's just Livio and you can't tell what's going on anyway.
And one thing I'll note is, and I suspect this might have been a last-minute fix, you'll notice that Lightbright's name appears at the top, but there's no name at the bottom. In other panels where there are two characters shown, there's one of their names at the top and one at the bottom, so I think they might not have caught it in time to change it, but they might have caught it in time to not have it say Hotshot underneath Hotspot and decided to just leave it blank. So it's like, yeah, it's just this guy who looks kind of like him. They've never met.
I guess they could always fix it for the trade, if nothing else.
Yeah.
They could always do a blot and blip sort of thing, or a bluster or something like that. Give him a name like that.
So he's going to be Hot Short?
Sure. Hot Zone, maybe.
Well, yeah, but that's not as funny.
No, of course not. But it's nerdier.
But yeah, they could just come up with a random name, recolor him, and, call it a day.
And get a toy out of it.
Yes.
There you go.
So, the one last thing, which kind of nobody's brought up so far, and I think kind of flew under the radar because Livio, hey, Starscream's got his new body.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Boy, is that a mess.
Yeah. That one panel, where he's making his speech, it's actually not bad. It's about as clean as you're ever going to see on this book. It does have that case of teal and orange, though.
But then there's what?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's other places where that body is just rendered terribly.
Yes, well, it's not alone.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, at least in Mirage's vision, Starscream is still in his old body, because
Mirage would not have seen the new one.
Yeah, presumably the vision is still drawing from images Mirage knows, not total precognition.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm not talking about the art, but I really enjoyed Wheeljack interrupting it with all the science facts in the speech. I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
And speaking of Starscream's body, he looks pretty good on that cover for issue 41. That's not Livio.
Yeah, that's either Griffith or Collar, I think. Like, the main cover for this was Casey Collar, and I originally thought it was Griffith just because, it's such clean line art, and both of them are known for that.
Yeah, the face looks pretty Griffith.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get off the scene where Starscream was introducing his new body, I wanted to mention, 3 panels later, Superion is standing behind them, and where did he come from?
That is an excellent question. Now that you
Because, when you look at Starscream showing off his new body, you can see Optimus and Windblade and Wheeljack and Rat Trap, the Crimean delegates, and Ironhide standing in the background. 3 panels later, Superion is standing in the background where Ironhide was.
Maybe the aerial bots were backstage, not combined, and then on cue they just...
They're standing in what looks kind of like an auditorium.
There are, if you look at the 4 panels before that of Starscream speaking, there are little streaks of light at the top of his head, and they are the aerial bot colors. I think that's probably a half-assed attempt to try and make it show as though Superion is arriving or the aerial bots are combining behind him for effect.
I was wondering what those lines of color were supposed to be, and...
That is my best guess, and that is pure rectal extraction. I have no idea why that is actually there.
Makes as much sense as anything else when you get right down to it.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, the covers are kind of underwhelming this time.
A little bit.
I mean, the main cover is, it's all nice and everything. It's not really it's misleading as to the contents of the issue. Let's just put it that way. Because Devastator's not walking around this issue.
No, and neither is Defensor.
Well, yeah, but, it's a Livio cover, so it's never really going to be...
Yeah.
Plus, it's another one was with 39 of Transformers and issue 1 of Windblade, where it's, I think, prior art that's been split in half for covers. And the retailer incentive is basically the same thing. This is Marcelo Mater's Transformers Legends Menasor art, which has been made a cover. And the only reason I know that, because the credits page attributes this courtesy of Hasbro, but he actually put this on, I think, his Facebook page a couple months ago. And I remember it from that. But it's not a strong showing for the covers this month.
No.
Maybe we'll have something more interesting with Windblade next week.
Here's hoping.
So, guys, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Nothing I can really think of. Except I really hope that the solicitations were wrong and Windblade is not Livio 2.
Oh, let's hope.
I actually did find one thing that I really enjoy about this comic. I told you before I was looking. And it's Swindle being thrown into prison as a political prisoner. And, I mean, that's... Well, I think that's leading to Bruticus, because that's what the Combaticons originally were, Decepticon political prisoners. And there are other prisoners in there.
That's the point.
That's true. I mean, the Combaticons were walking around freely, well, as freely as you got back then, before Megatron came and started trying to burn the city down again, but... Unless
they did something to Starscream off-panel to aggravate him.
Right, there's no telling where they ended up since. So, I mean, everybody has been around, so maybe... No,
ultimately, he just throws them in there with Swindle and the Enigma if he needs another combiner to deal with Devastator or Defensor.
I think it would be more likely at this point that whenever Bruticus comes about, it's going to be Swindle either escapes on his own or, enough has changed in the situations that Swindle can be released because there's no harm to Starscream if he talks anymore. And Swindle's kind of irritated and goes and gets the Enigma for himself and puts another team together to get revenge.
That's pretty much what I think. I think there's going to be a jailbreak of the Combaticons, and Swindle, having been betrayed by Starscream, is going after the Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, if I was planning this out, that's how I would do it, because it works with the story we've been presented, and it makes internal sense otherwise, too. As long as you get the Combaticons in there on screen, or panel, whatever. Well, good job, Matt. It only took you, 48 minutes to find something you liked in this comic.
And I had to look hard.
Plus, I
Not
just
surprisingly, it was Swindle.
I just like Swindle being a political prisoner because, well, it would be politically inconvenient if Swindle talked to anybody at this point.
Yes.
So there you go. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this episode. We will be back probably next week with Windblade issue 3, I think. So we will see you then, guys. Thanks for being here, and thanks for listening.
Need to catch up? Visit tfradio.net/Amazon and start shopping for collected volumes of all the Transformers titles. For comic book news, reviews, and more, visit tformers.com. Fanboy Vs Transformers is a radio-free Cybertron production.